Sonic the Hedgehog. You know him, I know him, IGN definitely knows him, but no matter who you are, as long as you're a fan, there's probably something about this silly blue 3-foot squirrel that means something to you. This could range from a lot of different things. Video games, shows, movies, Waku Waku Sonic Patrol Car, etc. Because in the 32, almost 33 years of this guy being born, he's been through a lot. Whether it be being sentenced to Wii U jail, being sent to actual jail, being murdered, whatever the Archie comics were drinking, and a whole lot more. But despite all that, if you're still watching this video, it means you're probably still a fan of this rat. Or you're just bored and want background audio, that works too. But for the sake of this video, let's go with the first one. I personally got into the franchise back in late 2021, and since then, a lot has happened. Yeah, I could still be technically considered a new fan of the franchise, but I feel like I've seen enough to talk about the importance of Sonic. To explain this, I've come up with what is essentially the duology of the Sonic experience, these being the media, and by far the most controversial one, the community, which means I might as well just start off with that to get it out of the way. So, to commemorate 500 subscribers, let's officially discuss the importance of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Subject A, good hedgehog. Subject B, evil hedgehog. Introducing Shadow from Sonic Adventure 2. Now you can choose to be Sonic, the good hedgehog, and try to save the world. Or Shadow, the evil hedgehog, and conquer it. What kind of hedgehog are you? Rated E for everyone, only on Dreamcast.
So the community, like stated, is probably one of the most controversial communities out there, with constant fighting both inside the com and outside with other communities such as the Genshin Impact com. Seriously, do not speak to Sonic fans about the Game Awards 2022. They won't like it.
And once we took out all the bot votes, the Game Award goes to Genshin Impact.
But we aren't here to speak about them. When I say community, I mean modders, I mean artists, I mean the streamers and content creators, I mean every single person making a fan game. This community contains some of the most talented people I've ever seen from a video game community. I constantly see Sonic art and animations on my Twitter timeline, on my YouTube recommendations, and it's always absolutely incredible to see. There's thousands of artists with unique art styles ranging from cute to the rawest shit you've ever seen, not to mention how insanely quick a lot of these artists are. There's also the modders who are constantly pushing the boundaries of every single game they touch. I genuinely think 90% of Sonic games are worth it for mods alone. Generations is probably the craziest modding scene ever constructed by mankind. Most of Sonic Unleashed has been put into Generations. You can play as M64 Mario, and it's not just a model change either, it has his moveset and everything. Even in other games, there's some brilliant mods, especially for more recent games such as Frontiers, with people making their own cyberspace stages, adding new animations, whole new moves, and then you got stuff like Sonic Forces Overclocked, where they straight up just make a whole ass new game. Also gotta mention Sonic Colors Ultimate Re-Rainbow, a mod which is just straight up fixing everything wrong with Colors Ultimate. Point is, the modding scene is fucking insane. And then we got the fan game scene, which is genuinely even more insane. For 2D, you've got games such as Sonic and the Fallen Star, which is currently in the process of getting a sequel, Sonic After the Sequel, Sonic Time Twisted, Sonic Triple 16-bit, Sonic 3 Air, etc. You've also got the 3D side of things, which is stuff such as Sonic Roboblast, Sonic GT, and of course, Project 06, which I would hate myself if I didn't mention this, because this is basically Sonic 06 if it wasn't rushed to hell and back. And most of it has been handled by a single guy. Genuinely an incredible feat for a fan game, and it's still being updated to this day. As of writing this, the developer Chaos X is currently in the process of remaking the final story. I also need to mention Sage. No, not that Sage. I'm talking about Sage, also known as the Sonic Amateur Games Expo. Sage is a fan game expo which shows off a bunch of fan games from the Sonic community. So, the point is, if you're looking for new games to play, there's so much stuff in the Sonic com, you'd pretty much never run out. And pretty much all of it is extremely high quality. Then of course we have the content creators, the people who cover everything Sonic related, and I mean everything. Content creators such as Fidel, Sam Procrastinates, Chowmix, etc. The content creators who helped make this community worth staying in, who are constantly providing high quality content such as reviews or just random topics which they're able to still make incredibly entertaining. Now again, the community isn't perfect, but the fact this little blue guy has brought so many talented people together is truly incredible. Hell, Sega themselves are constantly working with the community. With Sonic Mania, for example, that was an official game created by people within the community. Of course though, there isn't a community without some form of media. So next, let's dive into the next section of the duology, the media, which revolves around the games, shows, movies, comics, music, etc.
What's he looking for?
I think he's looking for savings. I can't watch this anymore. Stop! There's an easier way. We compare your Progressive Direct rate to other top companies so you get a great price. No more running around. Wouldn't you love to see the world through his eyes?
I bet I look like the strongest man in the world.
The best place to find a great deal. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Sonic first debuted back in 1991 in the game appropriately titled Sonic the Hedgehog. No, wait, that's not right. Sonic first debuted back in 1991 in the game not so appropriately titled Red Mobile, as just an ornament for the car. Red Mobile released 5 months before Sonic's game was released, so it made sense to put him in as a little Easter egg to make him known to the public. Sonic the Hedgehog 1 released June 23rd, 1991, and officially marked the birthday of this spiky blue rat. Since then, Sonic has received a lot of different adaptations in many different forms of media. Let's start with the most popular form, however, being the games. Ever since 1991, Sonic's had a lot of games. So many games that it's genuinely impossible to keep track at this point. You've obviously got your mainline titles like, for example, Sonic 3 and K, Sonic Heroes, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Generations, Sonic Forces, and more recently Sonic Frontiers. But then you have your spin-offs like the Advance series, the Rush series, Sonic Battle, etc. And then there's the educational games like Sonic Schoolhouse or Sonic Leapster, and just a whole lot of games that definitely exist for better or worse. The mainline titles are obviously the most worth talking about, as they usually are the games to push the franchise forward. However, ever since Sonic 06, the franchise has been in an interesting spot, with the Boost era of games really causing a ton of damage. The first Boost game, Sonic Unleashed, was incredible. It was visually beautiful, still one of the best looking Sonic games to date, and the Boost levels were incredibly fun. And say what you want about the Hedgehog, but even I've kinda started to come around to it lately. The combat is immensely enjoyable, and my only real issue is the platforming, with the controls being very janky at times, and the lock-on mechanic just deciding it doesn't want to work for no reason whatsoever. But aside from that, it was an incredible way to kick off the Boost era of games. But then, as you go forward through the era, we eventually just hit rock bottom. Thankfully, we're now out of that era and returning to somewhat of a normal state with Sonic Frontiers and its recently released DLC, but oh my god, it was not looking good for a second, especially with Sonic Forces nearly killing all interest in the franchise, with a story that absolutely reeked of untapped potential, and the game taking 2 hours total to complete, with stages lasting maybe a minute or less. It hasn't been all bad for the franchise though. Like I said, Unleashed was an incredible title, and of course I can't talk about the games without bringing up the poster child for 3D Sonic, the Sonic Adventure games. Two incredibly unique titles that thrusted Sonic into the 3D era.
Freeze! What do you think you're doing? Get that hedgehog!
Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies. I'm out of here. I like running better.
Now, granted, These titles haven't aged too well with outdated graphics, camera issues, etc., but story-wise, they still hold up incredibly well and are some of the best stories we've received from not only the game side of things, but the franchise as a whole. Sonic Adventure 1 gave most of its cast major arcs and actual development. Knuckles learns more about his past, Tails learns to become brave and handle things without needing Sonic's help, Amy becomes more independent, and Big the Cat does whatever he does, I'm not too sure. Want to know which one of these four is the best, however? Trick question, none of them are the best. That title belongs to E102 Gamma. E102 Gamma was a robot created for only violence and nothing more by Dr. Eggman. He was one of Eggman's best robots, having little to no failures whenever he was sent off on a mission. In one mission, he's sent to capture the bird that's with Amy in a cell. Amy refuses to give him the bird, remarking how she feels bad for him, how Eggman gave him no feelings. He's confused by this. Why would anyone want to protect and cherish something with so little use to them? Gamma breaks and frees Amy, instantly proving her wrong. He does have feelings, he just hadn't realized it. Gamma later encounters Amy again, this time with Sonic and Tails, after Eggman summons him to deal with them. Amy offers him a chance to ditch Eggman and come with her Sonic and Tails. Gamma asks why, and Amy responds,
I told you we'd be friends the next time we met. Even Birdie wants the best for you. You must ditch that awful Eggman.
Gamma is shown something no other robot got, compassion and kindness. And while Amy never gets to see his answer, Gamma chooses the only option he felt was right. He chooses to leave Eggman and save his friends, that being the rest of the robots in the E100 series of robots. As he saves E105 Zeta, the only unit that remains is Beta. Or maybe not. Gamma realizes that he's not free either. Even if he saves the rest, that's not the end. A bird still lives within him, so he makes a choice. Gamma chooses to sacrifice himself in order to truly be free. And that's that. After saving E101 Beta, Gamma dies, destroying himself but freeing the bird trapped within him at the same time. It's a sad but heroic death. We never get to see what happens to his bird after that, nor do we see the rest of the E-series birds, but we can at least know they're out there somewhere. Gamma's story is a story of freedom, and yet it's tragic. He has to die to truly be free, and no one ever knows of his story. No one knows what he had to go through. Not even Amy nor Eggman know. He died forever lost to time, unmourned, unacknowledged. I bring Gamma's story up for a reason. Stories like this are why people care so much about this franchise and the characters within it. And my god, I've only touched on the game so far. Hell, I haven't brought up SA2 and how interesting of a character Shadow is, being forced to watch his best friend die in front of his eyes, and not being able to save her. The character who was so popular with fans that his death at the end of SA2 was retconned so he could come back in future entries, and is also getting a movie at the end of this year. Speaking of the movies, yeah, let's discuss those. The movies are genuinely some of my favorite pieces of Sonic media. Say what you want, but it's just so cool seeing Sonic and his friends on the big screen, especially when they look this good. Granted, it took a lot of work to get this, but still, despite the trials and errors, these designs are fucking great. Some of the best we've seen in the franchise. I do think these movies in general need to be appreciated more, to be completely honest. Without Sonic Movie 1, no exaggeration, this franchise wouldn't really be doing so well. We wouldn't have any of the revival projects Sega revealed at the Game Awards, Sonic Frontiers wouldn't have been delayed to 2022, and Sonic Superstars probably wouldn't even exist, alongside Dream Team, because while yes, I know it was made by Apple, why would Apple choose to fund a franchise that is dead and buried? A lot of this credit has been given to Frontiers instead, and I think that's just unfortunate. While I don't doubt Frontiers helped, it was the first movie that did most of the work, and the community really should do better at recognizing that. I will say though, the second movie is easily the better of the two, faithfully adapting the games while also giving them a fresh coat of paint. Knuckles was also characterized extremely well here, as instead of just being a dumbass, He's now back to being gullible, but a highly respected warrior at heart. Tails also was pretty good, although he didn't get as much development in the film. It was nice to see the bond between him and Sonic grow, however. Sonic himself is something I want to discuss because it's been a crazy point of tension within the fanbase lately. A lot of people hate / immensely dislike this version of Sonic due to him not being like the games, and I gotta disagree. I think this is very clearly a much younger Sonic who is growing into the game Sonic we all know and most of the time love. It's a different route for Sonic, which keeps everything a lot more interesting, and I'm sure that by the end of movie 3 he'll be nearly indistinguishable from game Sonic. And on the topic of adaptations people hate, TV shows, the place where if you don't begin with Sonic and end with X, you can leave the building. Yeah, I'll be honest, I've never understood the hate for Boom or Prime, but it seems whenever I see hate for them, the same people hating are likely Sonic X purists. Boom I can sort of see the hate for due to it being related to Rise of Lyric, but as its own show, it's really fun. It's clearly meant as a comedy show and it never tries to do something else by taking itself seriously. And I've already made a full video defending Prime being canon, but I didn't really give my proper thoughts on it there. My full thoughts are basically that I find the show to probably be my favourite Sonic show as of now. The fights are incredibly well choreographed, and while the show isn't flawless, I find the writing and cast to be pretty solid. I'll probably make a full video on the show once Season 3 drops. There's a ton of Sonic media to talk about. I haven't touched on the 90s shows either, but that's mainly because I haven't seen enough of any of them to say anything about them. There's also the comics, but like the 90s shows, I haven't read those either, so I want to end this segment on the music. Now, I'm not a music science person, I love listening to music, but I couldn't really tell you much about the instrumentation or anything like that. I can tell you though that Sonic's worst soundtrack is mediocre at worst, and at best is probably one of the godliest soundtracks you've ever heard. I think that it's universally agreed that the one constant of Sonic, no matter if the game is total ass or completely flawless, is that the music is always good. And I genuinely think that's great. No matter which genre you're a fan of, you're likely to find an attachment to at least one song from this franchise, and you could honestly apply this to the entire franchise. It's so vast and diverse in every medium. Even within something specific like modern Sonic, there's a ton of different formulas like boost, open zone, 2D, adventure, etc. So with all that said, what is the importance of Sonic? Well, I think that's easy to answer.
Impressive, isn't it?
Thumb-bustin', hard-kickin' fun. Sega handheld games are now at McDonald's. There's one in every Happy Meal.
Get happy.
The importance of Sonic is something different to many people, but no matter what, I think the most important aspect is how well Sonic is able to just kind of bring people together. Like I said in the community section, it's insane how talented all of the fan game developers and modders actually are, on top of all the artists, animators, content creators, etc. It's very rare you see a community this dedicated to a franchise which really has been going through it over the past decade. And while yes, the community may bicker and argue at pretty much every week, you have to admit that definitely comes from a place of so many people caring. There's a reason you, me, the entire comm is still here, because we love this little blue fuck and his cast of characters, and the stories that get told with them. Some may be better than others, but at the end of the day, as long as it's not actively hurting the franchise, who really cares? There'll always be something you actually do enjoy that you can return to with this franchise, whether it be a TV show or a movie, a game or a comic, or even the music. And man, I didn't even speak on the cast of characters, mainly because I didn't know how to without feeling as if I was doing a disservice. There's so much to talk about with this franchise, there always will be, and I will always be here to cover as much as I possibly can. Sonic to me, it means so much. I've met so many incredible people thanks to this franchise, and joined so many great communities. It's one of the reasons this channel even exists, to be honest. I made this video to commemorate 500 subscribers and me joining the partner program, but I also made it to celebrate Sonic as a whole, especially after all the negativity within the community lately. Even if it's not always perfect, I'd be lying if I said I didn't love it. Please remember, if you're new here, to like, subscribe, and share, and comment down below what this franchise has done for you. We have memberships available now where I'll be posting exclusive stuff for anyone interested in joining. For full details, you can check out the video linked in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.